sense to me. For I am just a fool. For I am just a fool. I am just a fool. Am I? The kind where love begins. Oder der Aufschlag aber eine einschläft. Erstens wie schwer ein Seekarten kein Platz, schwerer Seegis Seekarten. Da mir gerasch explicit in disversen Zwang in den ewig en Mittel in it Werkgang en wahren Demokratik Gesetz. All the abomination of but one countless then, as many skittles. To as many sold none such. Neither do truly sell much more weakness explicit to responsibility placed outside of skittles than placed in the acquisition of the means of the conjecture of true democracy. The demonstration of piano explained something of beauty that was in fact never British. Never, however much pianos are British or English. Never believe that they started like that. Piano was founded in Italy, Tuscany, under the throne of Bonaparte. The design of piano mechanism was perfected in Germany by such former organ manufacturers, and in France by piano builders especially adept in not only beauty but mechanics, in the names of such as Sebastian Ferrari. There is little justification for people taking literally the expressions of frankly very many people worldwide who make immediate solicitations of impression they get from hearing the very name Bonaparte. The reality is that that name is in many ways more famous than Lord Wellington, Prime Minister Wellington, the Wellington of Waterloo, and the Nelson of both Cadiz and Trafalgar. The reason Mr. Bonaparte gained popularity are far in excess of the reasons that promoted his success. Curiously, one of those is the fact that the man was in many ways a strategic artist. He had ideas which meant that he could make impressions to produce a result of favourable position on the battlefield. And he was essentially an artillery commander, whereas, for instance, Lord Nelson was a sailor that trusts trial and trusts power, where power is dubiously granted. And the people allow it or disallow it, or the hidden voices are spoken, or the spoken voices remain hidden. The siege of Toulon in 1793, first rolls of Napoleon Bonaparte, allowed Langara, Ardenne, and Dompedro the capture of the guerre revolutionnaire américaine Montreal ship. À l'autre traité la frégate française, les navires contenant des réserves de poudre de votre flotte et à raison du danger d'explosion des îles, ancré dans as much as the solution of social interaction create explosion. The state of any in the past has never achieved its promotion for its future recall to truest account of history itself. No man needs a patriot to the party of the recounting of, for instance, a siege. Does allow its opponent to know the nature of its trust, that is the order to achieve the continuing utterance and the sustenance by prevarication of those military contingencies, which facilitating either side its endeavour may continue to hold by staff and control those results expected by the intended winning side, as both sides. The deviances which produce in battle the derivation of its outcome are less however producing in that the entirety of the theory, therefore which can be by any allowance to be known by those whose intent, that both to the prevarication of the method of the measure of that besieged, and in the case of the surrounding entourage, for instance, at Toulon, in the siege of the last 6 months of 1793, from 29th of August to the 19th of December, meant that the instigators of the both separate and the planner's purpose of the military tactics cannot be clearly expressed in the intentions of the political aim of respective governors, rulers, politically in attempt as commanded through state and money. For that power to be omnipresent in this concept of rule as to ruler means more to the extent of the side who like as conditioned by soldiers and fighting to alternative more military and less fundamental by being necessarily at any time more military than social by justice movements between besieging parties are indeed why they are even fighting beside of parties. Honneur, you commanded therefore only to commit by whose battalion to achieve a command, is not therefore responsible entirely for the eventual outcome. This is known and shown in Toulon siege, 1793, following the execution of Emperor Louis XVI. Music is that when militia and music expresses often as code, we do neither know nor do we understand as the paper of the attending rule by military means to achieve the master's goal, does not therefore always produce the justice for you, viewer, for either the intent of the master as much as who rules you, or who you all do not allow to rule you, as much for those conflicting of their militia who cannot express social aim in military means of battle. That means the trial of justice, the failure of both trump by intent and therefore doomed individuality to any extent, in resulting in failure, as indeed expresses itself in, for instance, revolution as much as in pangs of peace. In a revolution, the guilt by which masters as judge and lawyer must therefore also be an isolation to the same violations imminent which result through such both individually and jointly and confusion of secrecy, never knowing totally war in social hierarchical reason for the manoeuvres military as to those empirical human concepts for whose reasons apply them or not apply them to the powers of their rule. That produced in Louis XVI the ideas of conceptual changing military plans might over time, although changeable to development of science, be influenced by the power of its invention. Music, then it must be music by productions of the ethics of one man or one woman, one child, be uttered that as much no man is an island. The greatest musician among you stand alone responsible for the social power of your tactics as player, as also composing your music. My paper, my failure as a seller. As a seller I am a musician because I am a musician, not because I am a seller. And I am a seller not because I am a musician, but because for other reasons, as you have other reasons for being a musician, and some of you less sounding like a musician. And how do you choose the best instrument? Might not be necessarily social justice for how you might choose the best army. Places me therefore in the position that I cannot be responsible in the degree that your people's aim. Place my duty to express desire in sound, but your pianoforte, you who expect pride of your instruments to mirror the price of love, all both as jointly infidel to differential by those goals of either just one man or one woman or one child, is never either expressed by discussion as much as by intention, and by intention I mean with an S, which is totally different to the intention of outcome. I'm talking about the intention of the dependency of one thing upon the other. That is implicit in fugue, implicit in the work of, for instance, Bach, who is an exponent of fugue, as much as you, viewer, are an exponent of your conversations. And I do love to hear them. And you see the results of them in what you're selling. And some of them, of course, are selling some absolutely mirrored beauty, which is born of the revelations of the restorations of the medieval periods and the degrees of invention of manufacturing. But fugue, your skittles isolation and intention, your powers to express beauty are corrupted. The prisons you made them are the examples of the failure both of ruler and intending military failure as much as reflecting success for any monarch or greatness of republican acquaint. And I acquaint you, viewer, to the 31st of December 1793, where Maximilian Robespierre, lawyer and politician, addressed the court sentencing Louis XVI to death. This pathos, proud from the beauty expressed of you people, is therefore accidental to many your goal, and this is because you do not work together. You do not even bother to listen to your own voice, as much as you do not know what is skittles. You do not know what is pathos, and as lovers you leave Romeo and Juliet looking like two infidels who witness each other's death, or as much as one may only witness the other while one is still alive, and you call it freedom. For I am just a fool. I am just a fool. Am I? Viewer, passages of pathos, I wrote it. You, who attend your judgment on my music, attended judgment on Napoleon Bonaparte I, and you failed. You failed in his sisters. You failed in his brother. You failed to support France in their joint common market of unity and confederation, because you failed to support your own people when you declared that they must work. My music, my judgment, my profound sense of that Toulon siege is putting the court against French monarch in Louis XVI as some flaw in social justice which pronounces that Louis XVI is flawed as much by justice as by the legalities of lawyer Maximilian Robespierre, who also masqueraded as a politician. Under whose esteem, for instance, did you vote for Parliament in Brexit, when you were expected possibly to vote anyway? And you call it democracy. You don't know which way you're going. Before Nuremberg, before Bastogne, 44, before Moscow, 1812, you as individual cannot therefore exist. That is expressed in the greater musical greatness often of the compositions of literature. And they do make music, or it is expressed more in the literary ideas of the sound of music. And you only have to see, for instance, the sound of the film Sound of Music, 1965 by Rodgers and Hammerstein, that will affect, in fact, your whole life for the future kingdom as it comes, or as it is allowed to each or any one of us. Because, for instance, those failures which it mirrors in the love affair between the German Nazis and the very beautiful girl is in fact personified as much by the sound of music and the songs which they sing and allow to each other, than by the political means which disallow or allow those expressions of love to exist. The Passacaglia fugue in C minor by Johann Sebastian Bach, BWV 582, takes pound to the greater greatness than your own popular music, because it lasts longer in endeavour, longer than 3 minutes, which used to be the length for a simple gramophone record, and you deny me my skittles, taking to some 9.5 minutes to acquire such semblance of concert to any potential thematic goal or solo. The pursuit of power, my work, skittles and pathos are therefore never measure for measure, or the Romeo and Juliet, or the Nero, unless they are permitted by the soul. That is why I am not Shakespeare. That is why I am not Bach. That is where true greatness exists, outside of the dictator, the trumped-up measure of the open conference that is not possible by Brexit, that is not possible by future deficiencies both in manufacturing your leaders and your generals. Viewer, get real. Get a decent attitude. The first conflict of the Siege of Toulon, where English people began really to rise, was essentially largely, as you will see, to some extent because of misunderstandings in the way the battles and the sieges were managed, and those responsible, for instance on the British side, eminently resulted in the catastrophic result of the serious blow against the might of Britain, who essentially failed to hold the port and escaped, making a treaty or a truce, but not without having evoked much consternation among the French and the Republicans as well. The background to this is the witnessing by Napoleon of the terrible mob as they besieged Paris, wanting the head of Louis. Louis XVI. It's important to know the effects of the French Revolution had an effect intermediary in both the result of that foundation of invention of mechanics and piano manufacture, as well as the roles of the Emperor Napoleon having, despite his eventual downfall, having the culminating effects on French manufacture, meaning that Germany became one of the staunchest manufacturers in the world. The reason that Napoleon Bonaparte was become so great is largely spoken of and discussed endlessly by historians. But the reality is that in many ways Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte, or Bonaparte from Italy, as it were, in 1769, which was in Corsica, August 15, 1769, and he would live only till 1 year after George III died, was the fact that Napoleon Bonaparte's first encounter was with the rise mysteriously to power through the first conflict which caused the British very much consternation. That was the Siege of Toulon, which lasted from the 29th of August 1793 to the 19th of December the same year. This was the year that the French had had their emperor executed. The reason why Napoleon Bonaparte is great is because the man had so much power over the love of his people, and that one reason is only perhaps this person's opinion, but the fact that the French are one of the main primary musicians of grandeur and great furnishing and lavish artistic desire and temperament is founded in the earliest English plantagenet history, and is also founded in the gift of travel by people of further European continental persuasion, which took them to France. Although in the cases of, for instance, composers such as Chopin, they would find themselves in seclusion to some extent on, for instance, islands of Mallorca. And eventually the idea of the piano, as much as the losses to the American people through the rich tapestry of French art, cannot be emulated anymore, as you see, by your own country. And this is here because you have chosen to Brexit. The changing to Brexit is in some respects not only a plea for independence, but is also a point of no return, in effectual a procession of, in fact, evolutionary madness, which can profoundly change the way that even the who voted against remaining in Europe even think, and is much analogous to the idea of saying, I'm not getting on very well with my legs, I might as well lose my left leg, or my right leg, or my arm, or I cannot bear my thoughts, so my head must be examined, or my brain must be prompted into something else. In essence, the siege of Toulon was lasting too long, and it culminated with the effects that the destruction of the French fleet, of course, but effectively made greatness in the name of both Bonaparte as well as the son of Robespierre. Robespierre. Ah, yes, you hear it's Robespierre. Robespierre, in one of my video speakings, at the time of Louis XVI, it was decided that he had to be executed, and is therefore the last effective, and the word chiefly effective, French monarch. Apart from Napoleon III, who had even ended his life in some disarray after the siege of Paris, of course, and the Treaty of Sedan in 1870, 70 years later, was for Paris of France a disaster, almost for its political, which sent Napoleon III to England to exile. But this is, let's say, the pattern that is Europe. You cannot separate your arms and your legs from your body or your brain without having to pay some price. FRAU ordered Don Pedro Collier to take 3 boats into the arsenal to destroy the French fleet. Sidney Smith, who had recently arrived, volunteered to accompany him. And this is the ship Swallow, a lovely name. 3 British boats, Cartier, tasked with the sinking of Toulon's powder hogs, and the disarmed form British frigate captured during the American Civil War the name of Montreal, and the other was frigate Iris. The frigate Iris, the Montreal and the other Swallow. These 3 ships contain the gunpowder. The one went up by accident. The dock gates which had been barred against the attack in 18 form 100. 800 former galley slaves read and retreat. But his darkness fell and the Republican troops reached the shoreline, contributed musketry to this fuselage. Smith replied with grape shot from his boat's guns. But their sentiment was for the French, by the British and people, sentiments which was mixed. How can you separate the brain from the body and the actions of war? But in many ways, the madness with the lines and fires spreading through the dockyards and the new arsenal, you don't have to wonder where Nelson got the idea for the onslaught of Trafalgar, 1805, and the fire ships. Oh, at last killed 3 men on the Union, on Britannia. All the crew survived. 3 men on the Union, yes, maybe just a few too many. But the biggest loss was the truth. And then this, of course, led to the destruction of the arsenal before they consented to be safely conveyed from the shore. Swiss men set the empty hulks on fire. Well, that's not going to achieve victory, setting them on fire. But the British evacuation marked the siege of Toulon in December 1793. At the evacuation, the target of the French hands and the soldiery and everything made effectively, the British fleet rescued 14,877 Toulonnais in the city. The witnesses on board and retreating ships reported scenes of panic. The aftermath was really more than the dangers of the war and the battle itself, because you have to consider Friedland. 1805, 1806, Napoleonic emperorship lasted until 1814, and then again briefly in 1815, ending his life in 1821. And thank Napoleon Bonaparte. Justice, a fool, am I, the kind where love begins.